This episode of the What's Happening Delco podcast is brought to you by Delco Meets for Business. Check us out on Meetup, register, and attend one of our fantastic networking meetings, which we meet on the first and third Thursday at the Brick House in Ridley Park, and the second and fourth Thursday at the Upper Crust in Newtown Square. We look forward to seeing you there. What's happening, Delco? I'm Rich Shane, and welcome to the What's Happening Delco podcast. Today, I'm joined by Maureen Ingelsby of Keller Williams. Maureen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Maureen, we're going to talk a lot of different things today. Real estate, I'm sure, is going to come up in the conversation, but tell the listeners who are not familiar with you, what do you do?
Well, I am a realtor. I'm not a realtor. I don't go to the Acme. I go to the Acme. So I'm a realtor. That's how it's spelled, with Keller Williams Real Estate in Media. My motto is recognized, recommended, and respected. And my base camp is Delco. Having been in the biz for a lot of years, my clients come back over and over again, which is really nice after the sale, maybe to move to a larger home or to downsize. And many times they go to other counties, but most of the time, I'm lucky enough that they stay in Delco, even though I do sell in other counties. This is where I got my being. I'm a concierge. I'm a teacher/tutor for real estate. I'm a handholder. I'm a psychologist sometimes. I'm a babysitter sometimes when we take the kids with us to see houses. And I'm the go-to one-stop shop person for my clients for mortgage and title and homeowners insurance if they need it. And really, my job and my privilege, I should say, is to guide buyers and sellers through the exciting yet challenging process of buying and selling a house or an investment property. The buyers come with buyers and sellers are involved right now in a very steep learning curve with so many things happening that are way beyond what they know in their regular lives. So that teacher part is really important.
Maureen, how did you get started in real estate? How did you find your way into this atmosphere of all the things that you just described to make up who you are?
Well, that's the interesting story that I have. And I don't think there's too many that have anything like that. I was a teacher, as I said. I went to school for teaching. And when I was a kid, every time we played school, I had to be the teacher or I didn't want to play. I was an only child, so I had that thing. But I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. My girlfriends who were candy stripers, which were girls that worked in the hospitals, I didn't want any part of that. But because I was an only child, I loved children. All I wanted was to have as many children as God would give me. And they all had to have Irish names. So I found that person, and after 12 years of marriage and 5 children, he left for his 22-year-old secretary. So that was a little bit of a shocker to me, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do next, but I did find a job teaching, which was my first love. And the problem was back in 1982, teachers in Catholic school made about $9,000 a year with no insurance. So it was really tough holding on to the house, taking care of 5 kids. My mom eventually came to live with me, and she didn't help me financially. She couldn't, but she was wonderful to be there when they got home from school, to be there to start their homework, to be there when I had client teacher conferences, parent-teacher conferences, excuse me. And I did that for several years. I met Bob Ingelsby, a guy I knew in college and dated a little thereafter. Here, he had never married. His mother told him she heard I was divorced. He called me. He had lost about 90 pounds with Weight Watchers. I was his long-range goal. And he called me to tell me that he wanted to see if we could maybe go out again. And I wasn't quite sure about whether I wanted to do that or not. But we did, and it led to an engagement and to a marriage. So he took on 5 teenagers, a 75-year-old mom, and me, which was quite interesting. We bought a great big single home. It needed a lot of work. We didn't know it at the time because inspections weren't a big deal then. And so he decided to go to the Acme and get a second job. I felt terrible. I was just so upset. Here he got into this. We waited a year and a half to get married so he could see what my life was like. And all of a sudden, he's concerned. So I said, I could probably do real estate. There was a real estate company literally 2 blocks from my house, small, family owned kind of thing. And I thought, I'm just going to go in there and see what's what, because I had afternoons and evenings when I was finished teaching. I had weekends and I had summertime. So I got involved in that. The manager there put his arm around me when I said, I think I need to be in real estate, taught me so much, got me started on the right path. And 31 years later, here I am. So it's my husband lasted 6 weeks at the Acme, by the way.
So you've outdone him on the change of career, basically, haven't you?
Absolutely, yes. And now he's retired, but he does, for the last 10 years or so, he does conveyancing for me, which is the back end, as you know, of real estate. So he handles all the things, getting ready for settlement, all the stuff that I really don't like to do. I'm a people person. I like to be out there doing the people thing, and he handles everything to get us into the settlement table with no big surprises. And he works from home. His commute is from his Aeron chair at his desk down in the lower level walkout of our basement. And he goes from there to his chair and a half where he watches television after work. So it's pretty lucrative. I pay him very well.
Maureen, in that time where you were getting started in real estate, what was it that you felt that, all right, I'm on to something, this is the right career for me? What resonated with you?
I think what resonated with me is that the one thing that people don't often realize if they didn't have the experience is that my job is, and it's, as again, a privilege, is to take buyers and sellers and get them from for sale to sold with the least amount of stress, with the least amount of anxiety, and the most knowledge. And I feel that they can expect me to be experienced, to be knowledgeable to a fault, to be available for any kinds of questions that they have. There's some realtors out there who say, if I get this message after 6 o'clock, I'll call you tomorrow. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't want people to do that to me, and therefore I don't do that to them. But I'm available. I'm thorough. I'm a very good listener. I'm very supportive, and I'm an advocate all the way through. And that's what this job is everybody needs an advocate in every facet of their lives. So when they're buying or selling, and it's such a stressful process for many, I try to take some of that stress and anxiety away, being respectful of their time. I'm their trusted source of ancillary services, so I can help them get to settlement with the minimum amount of I have to call this one and that one and this one and that one. And I have a comprehensive website, which is very easy to get to. It's MaureenIngelsby.com. I encourage everybody here listening to take a look at that, MaureenIngelsby.com, INGELSBY. Sometimes the people put the L before the E, it doesn't go through. But take a look there. There is a plethora of testimonials from clients who have told me exactly what I just mentioned, that I was available, that I did have integrity, that I was trustworthy. And that word trust is a very big thing, especially in this day and age. So I kind of tell it like it is. If somebody has wallpaper, now wallpaper's coming back, but there's wallpaper and there's wallpaper, right? So if the dining room is full of flowers and apples, I tell it like it is and have them suggest that they take that off. I had somebody who called me and said, my neighbor listed her house with you. She got it sold really quickly. She told me to call you. I got to tell you right now, I'm not taking the wallpaper down. And I said, that's up to you. And we talked about a lot of different things that they could do. She did most of them. I call it my honey-do list. When I go through a house, I do a 2-part listing. And the first part is really just to get to know the sellers. And I walk around with them and have them show me what they have done in the house, what they like most about their house. I listen well. I take good notes. The older I get, the more I have to write things down. But as I go through, I'm making notes about things that I might suggest that they do to get the house buyer ready. And most of them will take my suggestions because they've been referred to me and they've already been told that they need to. But this lady did not want to take that very expensive wallpaper down. And I said, fine. And so it was interesting because during the time that she was listed for the first few weeks, the buyers would come in and say, love the house, love the grounds, love the neighborhood, hate the wallpaper. And they didn't make an offer. And finally, she called one day and said, all right, take the house off the market for 4 days. We're going to get the wallpaper done. And the first person that came through bought it because everything else about the house was so nice. So my clients call me a force of nature. I try to tell them what is going to happen. I try to give them the beginnings of the saga all the way through to the end. And I think that's really helps make my job worthwhile for a buyer or seller.
Besides styles of wallpaper, what have you seen change in Delco real estate over the last 31 years?
Oh, wow. Well, my first house back in the 70s was 16.5% interest rate. We thought nothing about it, right? But because everybody got spoiled with the lower interest rates during COVID and post-COVID, I think that's the biggest thing is that those rising interest rates. Buyers are a little skeptical of that, a little concerned. We can't predict the future. I used to be able to say to people, well, here's how it's going to go. And this and this and this, and everything was very, very cookie cutter. And now all of a sudden, when people say, so how's the market? You know, I can't really do an elevator speech because it takes longer than that to explain. So I think styles of what the buyer likes in a style of a house, in the colors of the house. I think we're coming out of that gray phase a little bit. I don't know if you see that too. We're getting some accent walls and some accent wallpaper walls, but there for a while, you know, the buyers really only wanted the house if it was gray and plain and no frills. A lot of the young people today, they don't want all that stuff. And so they can't see past it sometimes. That's one of the things that I've seen is the buyers are looking for something that's comfortable for them, that they can entertain in. The open concept, of course, is a big deal. That too will change, as I'm sure you are aware, I think. You know, people got tattoos and then they didn't want them anymore. And there's companies that charge 3 times as much to take the tattoo off as the tattoos got to put on. I think that's going to be the case with walls. Walls are going to come back again, especially since COVID's been in our lives. I think people feel like they need their own space a little bit more. So there's a lot of ups and downs and changes all around, but everybody finds their niche. And that's your job and my job to make sure that they find that niche.
All right. So you are entrenched in Delco and you're out and about and you have a cheesesteak craving. Where are you stopping for a cheesesteak in Delco?
Well, I like Delco steaks very much, and there's one near me. I'm on a wellness journey right now for 2023, so that's not my go-to all the time. Actually, my favorite cheesesteak is on the boardwalk at Wildwood, where a lot of people from Delco go. But the cheesesteaks at Delco Cheesesteak are excellent, and oh my gosh, that's about it. You know, there's plenty of places. It's just how you like it, you know, but mine is Delco, and that's pretty recent.
Well, you mentioned you're on this wellness journey, but every once in a while you still may get a pizza craving. Is there a place you're going in Delco for a pizza?
Yes. There's a, there's so many. Brothers Pizza in Drexel Hill, because I lived in Drexel Hill for over 20 years. I have a billboard in Drexel Hill right up the street from Brothers. And I've had that for 28 years. It was something I did when nobody did billboards, but it was an idea that I had. It's at a gas station at the 5 Points in Drexel Hill. And people have to pump their gas and they have to look at me. There's no place else to look. It was right across the street from where my husband worked. So even when he came outside to have a cigarette in the parking lot, even though he thought he was rid of me for the day, he had to see me. But Brothers is right down the street. And that was always a favorite of my family.
Now you're heading to see your billboard and you have a convenience store need or a craving, or you need to stop by. Are you going to Royal Farms or are you going to Wawa?
I go to Wawa. I have a friend who he loves sheets. He's a client as well. He's a young client of mine. And I think he does it just to annoy us because he's a Delco person too, but he just throws that in there all the time. But yeah, I run in and out of Wawa all the time. A gift card from Wawa is always a good thing.
Maureen, how do you describe Delco to somebody that's not from here or has never been here?
That's really not all that difficult. I think that, and the reason why I like to work in Delco is that I feel like it's a community. It's about neighborhood. We're not allowed to talk about parishes, but that's really everybody's from a different parish and they go to a different place down at the shore. But what I love about Delco as a realtor is that there's the price point for everybody. And the beginning of my job, I've sold a lot of row homes to young people at a really, very reasonable price. Right now, it's just a little bit tough because even those row homes are at a higher price point, and that's another big deal since COVID, and a little bit out of the realm for some first-time buyers. But in my career, that was a good place to start. A row house in Drexel Park Gardens or Westbrook Park or Ridley Park, those places. And then I used to make wreaths for everybody when wreaths were in fashion and give it to them at settlement to match their decor. And 6-7 years later, they would call me back to say, we want to sell this house and go to another one. And the wreath would still be over the fireplace or it would still be on the front door. And they'd say, we tell our friends that you made us that wreath. And it was really kind of nice. But when I went back there, then they really, I would say 85% of them really wanted to have another house in Delco. And I thought that was wonderful. So there's a price point for everybody all the way up. There's a tax base for everybody. And I think everybody's able to find that. And they want to have that camaraderie. They want that neighborhood experience. They want to have fun with friends. They want to sit out on their porch or their back deck and talk about their kids and their jobs and so forth. It's a very tight-knit area. Everything you need is right in Delco. It's so close to the Blue Route. That's my office is right at the Blue Route and the bypass. And it's so easy for me to get anywhere, but it's easy for my clients to get to my office as well. It's their life experiences are there's a lot of camaraderie. It's, as I said, it's everything you need. Great restaurants, entertainment. The Lansdowne Theater is opening up in the next year. It's been many years in the making, and it's going to be another Keswick Theater like they have. Another Keswick Theater where they're going to have entertainment venues, not movies so much as live entertainment. And we've got the Rose Tree Park, and they put a playground in there recently for the kids that they can play. It's close to the city. It's close to the colleges. We're noted to have the most colleges and the most city, big hospitals. It's close to Wilmington to go down there to watch the sports in Wilmington. Parks and Rec all over the place, close to the airport. Lots for kids to do, and everyone seems connected in some way. And so I think that's nice. I'm a big proponent of the Upper Darby Summer Stage, and I sponsor a summer stage program every summer. It costs a lot of money, but I'm hooked into it, and I just think it's amazing. I went to Prendy, Archbishop Prendergast and Monsignor Bonner. They merged a few years back, about 10, 12 years ago. And now Delaware County Community College is coming in. They're keeping the facade of Prendy, but everything else is going to go. They're in demolition mode right now. Very sad for me, being a Hall of Fame member of Archbishop Prendergast High School. That was a big honor, and I really appreciated that. But I'm on the executive board for Bonner Prendy, and I helped to make some of the decisions in picking who was going to go there. And what's lovely is Delaware County people, their children can actually go to Upper Darby High School or William Penn High School or Bonner Prendy. And after they get done school, they can go right next door to community college and get work towards their associate degree. And some of them have actually completed their 2-year associate degree while they're still in college, which saves them a lot of money to finish up the next 2 years and go pretty much wherever they want. You can't find that I know of in any other place. It's that Delco connection.
At this point, we would ask, if you had friends or family coming in from out of town and you wanted to give them that Delco experience, where would you send them? Where would you take them? But I think you listed a whole bunch of places that they're going with you or you're sending them to if you want to share that, hey, this is Delco and this is what you need to do.
Yep. That's that. The Rose Tree Park all summer has concerts for every age, every factor. There are so many. I mean, bowling has come into play again, and there's tons of bowling alleys around. There's a lot of that Delco experience and the ball games. All they have to do is go to a Little League game. Hey, the media Little League kids are having that Delco experience right now. We don't have to go down to Citizens Bank Park or to watch an Eagles game. We can get it right here in media.
Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about today on the podcast that you want to share with the listener about you or more about what you do in real estate?
Well, one of the things that I would love to see when I work with buyers and sellers is that when they come to Delco, that they do get involved in the community, be a part of their association. If they have, there's associations with HOAs and things like that, but I'm talking about their little neighborhood association. Havertown has one, Pilgrim Gardens has one, Drexel Park has one, and get involved. I'm in Rotary Club of Upper Darby Lansdowne. People coming in, especially if they're moving this way, or if they're moving or starting a business in the area, they really need to hook up with their local Rotary, and I can help them with that. Be a sponsor, get involved with the community. That's a really important thing. The other thing that I think people need to know is that when I meet with a prospective buyer, I do not take them I don't pick up a phone call and they say, I want to go see this house. I always do a consultation prior to. And even if it makes them wait 24 hours before they go see that house, it's the teacher in me. Right? I want to make sure that I have a consultation with them to explain all the things that I feel they need to know. I do a pre-buyer and a pre-seller video to get them ready before we meet so that they know a little bit about me before I get there to the seller's house or before I meet them. Sometimes they come to my office. Sometimes I meet them at a Panera. They don't kick you out. You can stay there for as long as you want. But before we go to see that house I want to get a feel for their wants and needs. I want to see both of them or whoever, if it's a single person, and meet with them and get to know a little bit about their background and what they're actually looking for. And I want to explain the process. That's the teacher, as I said. One of my abilities I feel that's important for buyers and sellers is for me to parse things down in an easy to understand way. There is so much that comes at them at one time. And I think they gotta get overwhelmed and stressed before they even get to see the first house or put their house on the market. And I'm really cognizant of that fact. And I want to be the person who is the educator for this. I send them a sample agreement of sale so they can look at the verbiage because it's boilerplate. We can fill in the rest of the stuff later, but I want them to know all about that. I send them information about the market. When I see I subscribe to a lot of different real estate blogs. And if I see something that's really perfect for all buyers and all sellers, I will send that out on Facebook. But if it's pertaining to their experience, I think of them and send that out. For the sellers, I want them to, when I go on that walkthrough, I want to get to know them. And then when I come back, I give them the market analysis and we talk. In either case, we are a team. And I make them know that from the beginning, that they can feel comfortable knowing that we are a team. I have a wonderful assistant. I have some buyer agents that help me out if need be. I am a hand holder. It's a little hard for me to delegate sometimes, but I can get it all done. I encourage sellers to take a home warranty because I feel that that's something that will help them if something comes up in an inspection. It also is transferable to the new buyer for a year. And that's a really big deal to a buyer who's putting a lot of their money down now, really doesn't have a lot left over if something happened in a month or 2 or 3 or 6. Sometimes the buyers, I encourage them to either take a home warranty, or maybe if the family wants to give them a housewarming gift, to have them buy that for them, just so that they can have that for their first year. I think that's really important. I have a lot of state-of-the-art technology working with Keller Williams. We use Command, which is our CRM, and very, very high tech. The sellers can do their seller's disclosure on something we call Seller's Shield. And it's one that they can do online. They can talk as much as they want that they can't do when they do a paper one. And an option for them is also to have some legal counsel for a year or 2 or 3 after the settlement, if they want it, if something comes up. And they're always concerned about that. Well, what if the buyer comes back in a year and says, you didn't tell me about this? I said, if you're honest on the seller's disclosure, it's good. One of the things that I do when I'm pricing the property, and I haven't had a seller who has said no in years, is that I price my property with an odd sale price. So if we're going to put it at $285, I do $284,977. I learned that in some marketing classes that I took. When I went to college for teaching. I had a journalism degree, which really helps me when I do my remarks about the house. I use up all 4,000 characters, and people go, "Oh my God, look at all this!" But I've had buyers tell me at settlement, we came to see that house because we felt we knew it. Between your video and your 4,000 characters, we felt we knew the house before we went in there. And I think that's important. So that 977 I learned through taking marketing classes at Penn State when I got into real estate, because I didn't know much about that segment of life. And I went at nighttime. We didn't have a lot of homework because the professors took pity on us, knowing that we all had day jobs and had to go home to kids. And one of the things was to price things differently. And it was interesting because I've been doing that for about 25 years. And Home Depot and Lowe's, all of their prices have a 9.7 on the end, but they did that way after I started mine. I don't know. I didn't tell them about it, but maybe they saw one of my listings. I'm not sure. But those are some of the things that I, used in my experience. And I'm always willing to start new things. If something comes up that's new after all these years in real estate, I take advantage of it. I'm always going to conventions. The Keller Williams convention is called Family Reunion, and it really is. And it's in a big place, but it's all a lot of camaraderie there. So I chose to open in Delco because of all these things, and I really feel that it's a place that I can be comfortable. And in real estate, every day is different. That's one of the things I love about it. I'm meeting new people all the time while staying in touch. One of the things that's so important to me is to have clients for life. When I go into a listing and I know who's the listing agent when they bought it, or who their agent was when they bought it, and I say to them, so who was your agent? Gee, George, what was Miriam? What was her name? They can't remember their agent's name. And that says to me that there's been no follow-up. And it is so easy to follow up, time consuming, but easy to follow up with clients year after year. Last 3 years, I've brought about 70 pumpkin or apple pies to my past clients. It took me 3 days. During COVID, I couldn't go into their houses, but they'd have me go around to the backyard and look in the back window to see their new kitchen. It's a way they look forward to it. I really love doing it. Sometimes the weather's good. Sometimes it's not. I'm driving around in rain, delivering pies. I'm thinking, what am I doing here? But I use local people to get my pies, and that really helped people during COVID. And that follow-up is the most important thing. I call them for their birthdays. I call them for their house anniversaries. When I see them on social media, I make sure I comment. so that I'm top of mind if they ever need me again. And I'm meeting new people all the time while staying in touch with the others. I've never been bored in this business, right? The end result is to get the clients to the closing table with the least stress as possible so they can move on with their lives. If I know I was instrumental in that, then I'm a happy lady.
Maureen, thank you so much for being a guest of What's Happening, Delco. We're grateful for your time today and being on the podcast, and we can't wait to see you again at Delco Meets for Business.
I am so happy that you had me, and hi to everybody out there. Take care.
Thanks, Maureen.
Bye-bye.